tonight will be a presentation by our leader, Ann Klaeysen, Dr. Ann. And I'm not going to speak too much because she'll tell you everything, except that what I can say and what I know about the ethical will in real contrast to a legal will is this is your opportunity to, correct me if I'm wrong, relay your values and thoughts and feelings and wishes. So now you don't have to present them. Versus, as I said in my mailing, versus stuff. The legal will is relating to stuff. And this is really about relating you. So without further ado, Dr. Ann Klaeysen.
Great, thank you. Thanks.
And I told them that you would tell them a little bit about ethical.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, why don't I start off with that? So you are in the meeting house of the New York Society for Ethical Culture. Ethical culture was started in 1876 by a young man, only 25 years old, Felix Adler, who actually was supposed to take over his father's pulpit at Temple Emmanuel, which is a Reformed temple, actually right across the park from here. Father and son used to get together in Central Park once in a while, a place they nicknamed Adler's Acre. At any rate, he came back from his studying for the rabbinate in Germany and gave what we say in the narrative about Felix Adler, both his first and his last sermon there. And it was about Judaism of the future. And his hope was that Judaism would really embrace what he felt was the most important feature of it, and that is morality and ethics, and maybe hold the ethnicity aspect of it a little looser. And he had a great deal of other things to say at that time, but the Board of Trustees had a very good reaction to it. They said, "You're brilliant, and clearly you have a bright future ahead of you, but not with us." And so he then went to teach at Cornell for a while, and some of the young men at Temple Emmanuel got him a speaking gig, first at Standard Hall and then at Carnegie Hall, because they liked what he had to say and they wanted to hear more of it. So on May 15, 1876, he gave what we call the founding address. And basically it was about all people around the world for centuries have been believing different things and shedding blood over those different things they believe in. And wouldn't it be a lot wiser to get together to find what we have in common and to look at that common ground? And so he said, believe or disbelieve as you wish, but join us together on the common ground of ethics. And so that's what we've been trying to do these many years. And this meeting house was dedicated in 1910. And at that time, he really had pulled together followers that were forming a congregation. So in addition to all the good works that were done in the beginning years, we didn't have a social network at the end of the 19th century the way we do today. Well, we could have a better one today for sure, but they had nothing then. So one of the things that we were involved in is starting the visiting nurse service, co-founding the NAACP, the ACLU, also Committee to End Child Labor, so many things, ending discrimination in housing, and starting... Well, yes, I was just going to say that 2 years afterwards, in 1878, the Ethical Culture School was started. And so there were a lot of activities going on at that time. And while the activities were going on, a community, a congregation was also forming. And one thing that Adler used to say was, you know, a lot of social reformers sort of rail at the gates of social justice, but they're not particularly nice when they get home. And so part of the working in community was how do we learn how to be better people in the little things that really aren't so little, and that is how do we relate to one another. So in addition to all the wonderful projects that we're working on, the partnerships, and of course also the United Service Board working on projects as well, it was how do we relate to one another. And so much of what we do today is workshops like this one, Empowering Ethical Elders. I did a series on forgiveness. We're doing one now on peace. There are ways that, how do we live ethical lives? How do we do that better? None of us is perfect. And how do we help each other? Listening to each other, learning from one another, and trying to live good lives. That's the practical way. We have services every Sunday, so we hope you join us. let's see, I was going to say my colleague, he was last week. This week we've got 2 Sundays that are sort of framing Earth Week. And so we have a speaker talking about environmentalism this coming Sunday, and then we will have a panel on energy the following Sunday. So please go on our website, nysec.org, and check out our calendar and our other events that are going on here. And welcome, I'm so glad you're here. So, you have folders, right? Warren, I'd like to hear your names and what brought you here this evening. So, would you like to start right here?
Oh, okay. We're going to pick the sheet if I know I can go. I'm just kidding. My name is Sonia Middleman. I'm an elder law attorney. And I, of course, write a lot of the irregular wills, and I just thought that this would be something interesting, because actually they can connect, because sometimes people, they might have people, but they might also have charitable intention or some sort of thing, but they don't know it exactly. But if they can write this, then maybe they can help themselves to define.
So you have a professional interest of being an attorney and to see how these two things might fit together.
Yes.
Thank you.
My
Joseph.
name is Joseph Bourne. I'm a member of the Society. I'm also an attorney. And years ago, when I first started out, we had a good practice, white shoe, like multi people. I think I haven't been running about. And we had a good practice over there. We took care of our people. And what we would do when we would do a will, we would also have the person write a little paragraph by himself, not with a lawyer watching him. And to speak to that person as he gave money to something, he would say, Charlie, I've known you for many years, and I just want to say to you how much I appreciate, how much you've helped me, how much I love you. And I'd read some of those, and sometimes I tell you, I would, after the person died, I would sit there, we don't jerk coming out of law school or whatever, and I would sit there. I remember one night I wrote a will that was so gorgeous. It was a gay guy to his partner, which is way back when. And I sat there, and tears were coming in my eyes. I said, my God, how much, in 40 years, 45 years of love, and how these people loved each other. And it just changed my whole view of it.
So in your practice as in a legal firm, you were also doing some aspects of an ethical will.
We made it
That's
as a
great.
practice.
Yeah. It also gave you a context to be able to be professional. You had that emotional context to work with.
And also how important it was. How important. Rather than say, here's a whole bunch of stuff, now drop me dead and forget about me. I'm leaving you this bunch of money, a bunch of things. I also want to leave you with something to say to you, and you can remember how much you meant to me.
Terrific.
So it is very, very important.
Great, thank you.
I'm Myra Weiss. I'm also an elder lawyer and work with people with special needs. But I came to this a little later. I have also had a long career as a hospital administrator in health insurance and health law, and helped many families through the dying process, actually at the bedside in hospitals. In particular, I got an email. I don't know who it came from or why I got it, but I did. And I have a particular professional interest now. I often work with clients that require a lot of patience. And I'm working with a 9/11 survivor, the wife of someone who was killed in 9/11. And it has taken her this many years to be able to settle his affairs and get to the point where she is now able to do her own will and actually get things in writing for her children, or their children. And I recommended to her that she do something like this without even really knowing what it was.
So
when
your
I saw this,
intuition
I
led
thought
you
it
to
was-
this, and yeah.
I thought it was maybe now. I promised her I would help her do this, and now I guess I think I can actually.
Make sure you take a
share
photo
with
for
her.
her. Yes. Okay. Tala, how are you?
I'm Talat Ali. I'm a member for many, many years, and I love being in all the programs, and that brings me here.
Hi, I'm Norman Reese. I do a lot of work with seniors, and I also am planning to revise my own will soon, so I thought the timing of this was good.
Very well. Could you speak up a little? Okay, sorry. I'm an intern, and I haven't done any work yet, but I'm in school, and I'm planning to expand my horizons in all the fields. So it's very interesting for me.
Thank you. Yeah, sure, you're in the room.
Hi, my name is Juan Carlos. Currently an intern here as well. I go to John Jay College, and I'm just here for an experience and see how different things are out there in the field. And this is all new to me, so this is quite, I'm just going to see what it's like. That way.
Terrific.
I already introduced myself in the beginning, but this is, I have this huge will, it's not that thick. And I said, I've got to tackle that. And this, I just got a good idea from what his people were doing. I want to do that. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, hi. I did my will last year and never thought about it. And also my lawyer obviously didn't think about this aspect. So I will go back to him and make something like this, and also tell him that every client tell this is an important aspect of a will.
By the way, ethical culture is in my will.
Next.
Maybe you come back in Boston, so you'll put it in our wills?
And I'll have a whole lot to say about
So the lady with the hood.
Oh, hi, I'm Patricia Poston. I turned 65 last month. I had no will at all, so I thought this would be easier to start with, and then on to the next level.
Good. All right. And you'll see that in the folder, you can actually start writing things in. So.
One of the things I'm involved with is a group called Women Share, and there's a woman, and there are several women in there who keep talking about the wonderful programs in ethical culture. And I guess while I was doing an improvisation workshop for them, Phyllis told us about this, and I thought, well, I don't yet have a will written, so I was very curious about how this would differ from just a regular will.
Mark.
Well, there's a camera too.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm repeating myself. I'm here because I'm paid to be here. No, but I would come anyway. But about the ethical will, well, one question I have, because I see people bringing it up. I mean, how would it interrelate with a legal will?
Great, I'll get into it.
Yeah. That's all I have to say. Next.
I think we skipped this.
Oh.
Oh, no, but I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm Fran Schoen, and I was here last month for the Deaf Cafe.
Oh, okay.
And I found it I don't have a will, and I'm older, really old enough to have one, because I never wanted to think about dying. So that's what I found interesting about the Deaf Cafe. And one of the things that they have there, we've all heard the term bucket list.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they asked you to make your bucket list and think about it. And then when she mentioned about the wills, I thought, what a nice tie-in that is. So now I can get it all taken care of at one time.
Okay. Try to stop this denial. You gotta, and once you do it, you put it up on the shelf, you share it with people, and then you don't have to think about it anymore. It's high time. Yes.
I'm Victoria Liska, and I have a will for my valuables, my assets, but I never thought about doing a will for my values. And in the past year, we've had some deaths in the family, and my grandnephew one day asked me, what does it feel like to die? And I went, wow, what a heavy question. And I'm thinking, there's something that I'd like to pass on to the children in the family so that they know who I was.
That's great.
I'm Madeline Okladek. I made a will many years ago to my two nieces, and one has one son and the other has 4 children. And I gave a copy to one of them to think about changing it, and because one is more wealthy than the others, so I was thinking of making it to the 5 children equally, or something like that. And one of them has some mental issues, so I don't know what to do with that. And then I've spent many, many years now doing my family tree, and I'm a volunteer in genealogy at the Center for Jewish History. And so I guess I want to leave that. I hope somebody will be interested in the genealogical tree that goes back to 1760. And I have 16,000 people in it. I don't know how. Not all related. And also I'm interested in knowing how to fill out something about what to do if I go into some kind of a serious...
Like a health proxy.
Yes.
Yeah. That's another topic, but I know that we have information on it.
Well, the ethical will actually